How can we see the aura? What are the ways that people teach us to see them? There's at least 7 layers to the human aura, but they're not static. They don't stay the same. They change, they shift. And that's why people talk about seeing different colors, because different chakras emit different colors. Now, the issue here with trying to see them is that electromagnetic frequencies that humans emit with their bodies that we can measure with different instruments, those are in the ELF and the RF range, and that's extremely low frequency and radio frequency range, which are really far below the visible electromagnetic spectrum. So then the question is, how do we see them, and can people really see them? There's a condition called synesthesia where different people can associate sounds with different colors. And this is a condition that some people are born with, some develop it in early childhood, whether through learning patterns or sometimes trauma. And then you can also develop this later on in life with different brain injuries and things like that. And it's not just sounds with colors, but that's one of the conditions. They can also ascribe different colors with different shapes or different letters. So these people will associate a letter or a word with a certain color. So they'll say like the letter A feels like a blue to them, which doesn't, like logically that doesn't seem to make any sense to us. But through understanding these shifts of frequency, I think it makes perfect sense. A lot of them will say that different sounds evoke images or colors. So when they hear certain frequencies or songs, they literally see these lights or these shapes around them. They also, like certain words can trigger tastes in their mouths. So the whole point of this condition is that we convert certain sensations into other ones. And there's no reason to believe that we're not all capable of this. This is a condition, like I said, some people are born with it. Sometimes it's onset with trauma and conditioning or brain injury, but it just goes to show that we all have the potential to tap into that. And maybe people who are more sensitive to seeing the colors of the human aura have that same part of their brain that's active as these people that suffer from this condition, or people that experience this condition. We can also see them through a process called Kirlian photography. And the basis for this was really discovered from Nikola Tesla around 1890. He experimented with energy fields and bioelectricity in a lot of different ways. But it didn't get popular. It wasn't really established until about 1939. People can literally take a picture of your aura for you. Now, again, whether or not that aura is your essential life force or what some would call prana, the universal flow of life energy, we could speculate and debate that all day. But Kirlian photography is a real thing, and people really can take a picture of the energy around your body, and it does show up as different colors. And the way that works is they just send high voltage electricity through the air, and they put a flat plate behind you, and this ionizes the air around you, and it emits this light. Although it's different at its basis, it is fundamentally the same thing as what we see when we're witnessing the aurora borealis, actually. It's the same phenomenon. It's the ionization of the particles in the air. Everything has an aura. Everything emits an electromagnetic field, not just living things. Every single thing around us. You may see things every day, but not actually notice them. I think when you start to set the intention to see the aura, you're more likely to notice it. Just literally through the awareness and the intention. They say that you have to see the aura through the third eye. Now, I don't like the way that a lot of the mystics and the gurus put it, because you literally can't physically see something with your third eye. It's inside of your head. But the third eye can allow you to see things with your physical eyes that you otherwise probably wouldn't. And this is easy to understand once we talk about some of the neurochemistry behind it. Most of us know that the third eye, the pineal gland, produces DMT, and DMT is a highly potent psychoactive hallucinogenic that our brains produce it naturally and they produce it mostly when we're dreaming, which is interesting. But also when, you know, people do different types of hallucinogenic drugs or through breathing exercises and meditation, you can ramp up the DMT that's being produced by your pineal gland, and then it gets released out into your body. And DMT will cause people to see things that others would say are not there. People report seeing auras or extra colors when they're trying DMT. So it might sound crazy when the gurus tell you you have to open your third eye to see your chakra. The third eye is inside of the brain, the pineal gland, and you can't physically see anything with it, but it can allow your physical eyes to perceive things that they otherwise wouldn't, usually through releasing this DMT. So if you want to see the human aura, you just have to focus on the area where your third eye would be. And you can even close your eyes. And I have a bunch of videos on my page about visualization practices. I will definitely plug them in the comments when I'm done with all this. And those tips are great, and they can actually help you see the human aura faster. And that's not the reason why I made those tips, but you know, simple things like one of them was to look at a bright light, and then close your eyes, and you'll see the memory of that light on the inside of your eyelids. If you're having trouble with it, literally, just look at a bright light, and if you really still can't see it, you can gently rub your eyelids, and you'll start to see these almost kaleidoscope type of patterns on the inside of your eyelids. A great way to train your third eye or to strengthen your third eye is to close your eyes and try to manipulate the memory of these lights that you see. They're called phosphenes, like phosphorescence. It's the memory of the light that you can see when you close your eyes. Once you start to practice with these, you can start to shape them. You can start to change the color of them and manipulate them in different ways. You can even turn them into scenes and vivid imagery. And that's a great visualization practice. There's so many different meditations out there that you could try that help you activate your third eye chakra. But really just focusing and setting the intention to build the energy in that area is what can help you. And eventually you'll start to see these glowing orbs around people. One thing that these people were practicing, and that you can practice at home, is to literally just hold up your fingers up against a solid color background, usually a white background or maybe even a darker color. If you look at the space in between your fingers, but let your eyes go out of focus so that you're almost looking with your peripheral or you know, not focused but still looking in that direction, sometimes you'll start to see the area between your fingers look lighter and lighter. And you might even see what can look like a little white wisp of smoke or light in between your fingers. And that's one of the ways that I started out doing it. You can also hold your hand up against like a flat background and just look for that glowing around your hand. Sometimes you might have to focus just to a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right of your hand, or focus on it dead center and just let your eyes go out of focus, and you'll start to see it. And especially if you practice it a few times a day, it might take a few days, might even take a few weeks, but most people can train themselves to see this. I've never met anyone who's tried to see it over a period of time and failed. So I believe that anyone has the potential to. Now you might say we're creating hallucinations through the power of suggestion. And that's possible, but what are hallucinations? Maybe some hallucinations are just us tapping into some other reality. Because I mentioned it before, especially in my particles and waves video, we don't see the full electromagnetic spectrum. We know that there are waves and colors and forces that are all around us and that affect us and influence everything around us that are beyond our visible spectrum. But with the right tools, we can see them, we can detect them, and we can measure them, and we can experience them. I think that our eyes are the ultimate adaptable tool We just have to train them to see these things. You don't always have to look for human auras or try to look at your own hand or anything. But like for me personally, trees have a strong, steady aura. It's not as irregular as the human aura. It's not nearly as erratic as the human aura. Like trees and plants have a really beautiful, like majestic aura about them, especially like a big, strong, healthy tree. Very, very, very powerful, very beautiful. Not just trees, but literally everything. If you have gemstones or crystals at home, try to try to tune your mind to the crystalline structure of that crystal, and you can build a resonant frequency like we were talking about before. There's a flow of information. They also learned that the frequency of the heart directly affects the frequency of the brain and vice versa. So that may be why our emotions have such a strong impact on our physical state and our mental state. But of course, you can shift your mental state and feed back and influence the frequency of your heart as well through intention. And you can build these frequencies and you can amplify them just through focus and breath work and intention.